Welcome to Marx and Capital, a series in which I will introduce you to the work of Karl Marx. Throughout his life, Marx focused on the nature of capitalism, an economic system only emerging in his time. He was obsessed with figuring out the laws according to which the system works. In his magnum opus, the book Capital, he exposed the conditions of inequality and exploitation inherent in the system and found internal contradictions of capitalism, which, he predicted, would in the long run cause crisis after crisis. Let me begin by a quote from the very beginning of Capital. The wealth of those societies in which the capitalist mode of production prevails presents itself as an immense accumulation of commodities, its unit being a single commodity. Our investigation must therefore begin with the analysis of a commodity. End of quote. Now, this is rather unexpected. The commodity appears to be an obvious thing, not really worth examining, but as we will later see, a detailed analysis of it is crucial to understanding how the system works. To make everything clear, let's define what we are working with. According to Marx, a commodity is in the first place an object outside us, a thing that by its properties satisfies human wants of some sort or another. This is the basic criterion, but you will see as we progress that a commodity has many more nuances to it. Because a commodity satisfies our needs, it becomes valuable in our eyes. There are two kinds of values we see in a commodity. The first kind is use value. It is basically the useful purpose of a commodity. For example, we use food to satisfy hunger, beds to have a place to sleep, and so on. As Marx points out, utility is not a thing of air. Being limited by the physical properties of the commodity, it has no existence apart from the commodity. Use value, although it is crucial, is not at all determining the way we exchange commodities or set their market prices. This is where the second kind of value comes to play, the exchange value. The exchange value is what a commodity is worth in comparison to another commodity. For example, one pair of shoes is worth 2 t-shirts. Where does this value come from? If we leave out of consideration the use value of commodities, all commodities have one common property left. Marx then claims that it is labor which creates exchange value. We call this the labor theory of value. This was not a new concept, but Marx developed it quite a bit. People often make the mistake that they make it seem like he pulled this theory out of his ass, but he actually justified it. Let me show you how. This bit gets a bit complicated, but remember you can always come back to it later. It goes like this. You can pick literally any two commodities. Let's, for the purpose of this example, pick screwdrivers and apples. Because you can exchange them, you can express their relationship with a ratio. Let's say the ratio is 1 screwdriver to 3 apples. Well, in the state of ratio, they must be equal, and every two things that are equal must both be equal to a third thing. This is proven in a mathematical context. Both sides of any equation must be equal to the same number. Example, 2 plus 2 equals 8 divided by 2. Both sides are equal to 4. As I mentioned earlier, the only thing in common between all commodities is that they are products of human labor. Therefore, the third thing they must be equal to is human labor. Now, of course, you could say, what if I find a golden nugget on the ground? Does it then have no value? After all, I didn't work at all. Well, it is specifically labor socially necessary which determines the value. This means that the exchange value of a golden nugget is set by how much work on average it takes to acquire it. The process of applicating labor to something is called valorization because labor creates or upgrades the value of the thing. The process of exchanging the commodity is called realization because by it we realize the exchange value created by valorization. The value of a commodity tends to be realized more often than not in money form. The purpose of money here is to serve as the universal equivalent because trading commodity for commodity is not that practical. Although a commodity by definition must have exchange value, there are things that have use value but no exchange value, things we don't acquire by labor, like air and soil. This is the end of the first episode of Marx and Capital. Next time I will attempt to explain the way in which in a capitalist economy commodities circulate and accumulate.